I'm a couple weeks late to the party on this one, but last night I was able to go see Mean Girls, and so let me share my thoughts on it. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I talk about a bunch of movies on this channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, share what you thought of the new Mean Girls musical, or if you haven't seen it, just share what you thought of the original if you have seen that one. And let me know what you think of that one. Are you a big fan of it and you watched this movie? Or did you just watch this movie and you've never seen the original like I did? As for me, just keep an important reference in mind. I've never seen the original 2004 Mean Girls, and I've never seen the Broadway musical that this new movie is based off. So this is truly my first watch of this story playing out, and so keep that in mind when you're going in through this review. If you enjoy this video, click that like button and be sure to subscribe. It really does help. And with that said, let's just get straight into it, talking about the good. And to me, the absolute best thing that worked about this movie is that it actually did have a heart and a soul that came with it. Throughout the movie, it has this clear theme and message about friendship as you're following our lead character who's moving to the US from an entirely different continent. Her trying to make friends, trying to be popular, going corrupt, kind of redeeming herself, and so it has all that stuff in it. And as somebody that has never seen the original Mean Girls, never seen the play this is based off of, had no knowledge of the story this movie was going to display, I actually didn't really expect anything out of this one, and it had a heart and a soul that came with it. And I thought that was the best thing about this movie, is the actual message. It was very straightforward. We knew the directions that it was heading, and so I thought those were the best elements that worked about this movie, is when it really did focus in on our lead character and her journey throughout the movie, and the side characters being all quirky as well. And I thought the movie actually had a heart because of that. And because our lead character actually has an arc, there is someone there to connect with. I wouldn't say she's the most entertaining or compelling character in this movie, but at least there's something to connect with this character that actually makes something tangible there for you to follow her throughout this entire film. Beyond that, there's just a ton of energy that goes into making this movie, where if you've watched the trailer, whether you loved it or you hated it or you were mixed on it, I think we can all agree that the trailer that they gave out did display a bunch of bright colors and energetic characters, and that's pretty much what this movie delivers. Is it has a bunch of fun, lively characters with a bunch of fun, lively sequences, and there's some funny, charming moments all throughout the film. Some certain sequences did make me laugh and get a laugh out of me, so I thought this movie was just executed with a bunch of energy to spare that can be entertaining, especially if you're a high schooler like me. Also, this is a musical adaptation, if you didn't know. It's a remake of the 2004 film as well as an adaptation of the Broadway musical. And with Broadway musicals, they tend to be adapted into movies nowadays. So a couple years back, I believe we got In the Heights. That was a Broadway musical adapted into a movie. Just not a couple weeks ago, but last month, we got The Color Purple. That, if you didn't know, The Color Purple was actually based on a Broadway musical, and it's the one that dropped in December of last year, and I loved that movie. That ended up in one of my favorite movies of the year, and I just thought that was really good. And so what kind of drew me to this movie was that it is an adaptation of a Broadway musical, and so I expected to have some fun out of it, and I got some fun out of watching this movie. But that does not mean it's a perfect movie, so let's move on to the bad. And I think particularly the biggest thing working against this film is that it's not entirely 100% for me. As I said just a few seconds ago, I do tend to like these Broadway musicals being adapted into a movie, like In the Heights, and The Color Purple ended up in my top 10, top 5 of last year. But this is a kind of genre that while I enjoy it, it's not entirely 100% my thing. And what I mean by that is that I tend to like high school comedies, and I tend to like musicals, but this mashup, and especially the story they went with, it wasn't particularly for me. It is a very girl-centric movie, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but the specific plot that they went with involving, like, love triangles, trying to get boys attracted to them, things like that, it wasn't really particularly my thing, but take that with a grain of salt. If you are a big fan of the original Mean Girls, you'll probably really enjoy this musical adaptation. I would imagine that. I've never seen the original Mean Girls, like I said. This is just a mild suggestion. And this is a film, to me, that didn't really have any gigantic plot holes or plot issues. There wasn't... it's not like I could pinpoint a specific plot point that I could say, oh, that really bothered me about this movie. But it's also a movie that never knocked it out of the park or really blew me away on any kind of category. And so, if you're talking about it being a romance involving these love triangles and these teenage girls, I wouldn't say that it's 100% of like a romance movie, and it doesn't really blow me away on that level. And another one here is that, like, it's supposed to be a comedy, and there are funny moments, there are moments that made me laugh, and then there are just some that tried a bit too hard to make me laugh and ended up being not funny. And so it doesn't have as many, like, actual humorous moments that will make you laugh. It doesn't have as much of that as you want. And so it's not really a movie where I have any particular plot issues, but it's not really my thing, and it never really blew me away. Oh yeah, and another thing to talk about with this one is that I don't know if this was just my theater. Let me know down below in the comment section if this was in your theater. But often it will, like, change the aspect ratio. So if you don't know it, like, there's these black bars that will go here, and then it will just shift to this ratio, and then it'll just shift to this ratio whenever it cuts to, like, a musical number. Just keep that in mind. And I thought that was a little bit distracting, and I don't know if that was supposed to be in the movie or not, but that was just a little bit distracting. At least in the theater I was in, I saw the aspect ratio change quite a bit. But it's not a movie that I could, like, nitpick to pieces with the plot or anything. It's just not particularly for me. And it just, like I said, it just never really blew me away. It was funny, but it was never, like, that funny. It was a romance, but it was never that romantic. And so, and some of the musical numbers, as a musical, they were fun, but other musical numbers were kind of cringy. And so, maybe that's just my kind of taste. I'm 14 years old, I'm in high school, but this is not really a movie that's for me. I thought it was fine enough. I would just slightly recommend it. And if you're a big fan of the movie, the original, and if you really like the trailers, I suppose you'll really enjoy this movie. And so overall, I think I'm going B- on this one. Hey, from me, I'm not a big gigantic Mean Girls fan or anything like that, but if you are, I suppose you will enjoy this movie. So down below in the comment section, share what you thought of this movie. Over on my channel, I have more content like this. Check those out right now. Click that like button, be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.